I love spending time with our next guest on Sharing the Victory. His name is Wes Neal, one of my heroes of the faith. Wes is an outstanding biblical scholar and writer and speaker, and he has shared all over the world about the principles, biblical principles of how to connect Jesus Christ with your actual competition in sports. And it's great for athletes and coaches and even soccer moms out there. Wes, welcome to Sharing the Victory. Thanks for being on.
Thanks, Ron. It's good to be here.
Wes, I want to talk about what should motivate the Christian athlete, the Christian coach, the Christian parent, the Christian fan in sports. I mean, what should our motivation be? It seems like there are a lot of motivations out there. We hear in the professional world of sports, the huge contract salaries and the huge audiences and the endorsements, the commercials. My goodness, there's so many motivational tools out there, including things like fear and intimidation. A lot of coaches will use that to motivate their athletes. Wes, what does God have to say about motivation in the midst of all that chaos?
Well, you know, Ron, the interesting thing about the biblical principle of motivation that we use total release is that it's not circumstance-oriented. And everything you mentioned so far, fear, anger, many of these things are revenge, circumstance-oriented. If the circumstances are not just right, you can't get that motivation to work. There's no question that other motivations do work. We've seen that through our own sports career. But the motivation that God gives us is based out of Romans 12:1 and 2, and there he tells us by the mercies of God to present our bodies as a living sacrifice. And then he tells us that this is our service of worship. What he's telling us here, Ron, is that he wants us to express to him our love for him because of what Jesus did for us on the cross. That's that by the mercies of God, what he's done for us. And so as I take into my mind what God has done for me, and again, most notably, what Jesus has done for me on the cross, that I am now to present my body, which is a word that means my mind, my soul, my physical abilities, everything about me, as a living sacrifice to him. And he says that's my expression or my service of worship. And basically that means it's the logical thing that I can do at that moment to express my love to him for what he's done for me on the cross.
And you know, there's a response to love, Wes, that's very commensurate with your view of that love. For example, you look at the apostles, based on church history, that at least 11 of the 12, maybe the 12th did too, but at least 11 of the 12 were martyred for their faith. Yeah. They died because of a love response. They were so motivated by the love of Jesus Christ that it took them to their death. And so what does that do for the Christian athlete?
You know, in any kind of sport, there are those up moments where it's easy to be motivated, easy to really get the adrenaline flowing to give your best, but there's a lot of the down moments when there are routine drills, we do the same thing over and over again, and this is where this motivation of love really kicks in for me. Each situation is an opportunity for me to express my love to the Lord for what he's done for me on the cross. Whether it's running a routine drill or working on a book or doing something so tedious, it's over and again, it's still special for the Lord. It's that opportunity, it's that moment of my life that I can seize, and this is my expression of the Lord to the Lord for what he's done for me. So I want to give the best quality of what I have in representing Jesus. I'll give you an example. I was with a friend of mine. He was working out with weights. I had already had my workout in for the day, and he was going through, Ron, it was just kind of a futile effort. He was just didn't look like he was putting himself totally into it. And so he was ready to call it quits. When I said, Daniel, you can't go home yet. You haven't really given your best effort for the Lord. And he tried to tell me, Wes, don't talk me into this. I'm just too tired. And I said, Daniel, will you do just one more set, but do it with two things in mind? And he said, okay. Finally he conceded, I'll do it. And with two things. I said, do you really believe that Jesus is present here in this gym? Do you really believe that? And he paused for a moment. He said, okay, I believe that. Yes, I really do. I said, then do you believe that you can express your love to him for what he's done for you on the cross in another set? And he said, well, I suppose so. And then he was beginning to get the picture, Ron. He said, okay, I'll do one more set, being aware of Jesus' presence and knowing that each repetition is going to be my expression of love to him for what he's done for me on the cross. And he said he'll do that. Well, he came out stronger, more powerful looking than ever, Ron, and he did those sets like he was just fresh. Like it was the start of a workout. And he wanted more weight on the bar, and we kept going up, and finally I told him to quit because he had to rest also. That's part of his expression of love. But the point was that even in his tiredness, in a routine drill, when he was aware of the presence of Jesus, he saw that each repetition, not just each set, but each repetition of that set could be his expression of love. He was more powerful than ever.
Well, we've been talking to Wes Neal, just reminding us today again that our motivation for anything we do, and certainly in the world of sports as well, should be out of our love response to what Jesus Christ has done for us. And if we have a low opinion of what Jesus has done for us, it will reflect in our conscious thinking of Christ while we're doing our sport. It'll all be based on us. Wes, thanks for reminding us of the perfect motivation, the love of Christ, here again on Sharing the Victory.
Again, thanks for having me, Ron.